The story kicks off in the city of Bulwark, where this guy Henry Johns is finally getting sprung from the joint. He heads back to his family's pad and right away catches his mother, Jennifer, in the middle of a job with some customer. Henry's losing his cool over her working the streets like that and tells the guy to beat it. Then he goes to check on his kid brother, Ethan, who's stuck in a wheelchair. The two of them sit down to play this video game where you gotta hunt down lions just to kill some time. Henry finds out his mother lost her gig and blew through every cent he gave her before he got locked up. This leaves the whole family in a real tight spot for cash. Looking for a way to take care of his mother and brother, Henry meets up with his old pal from the neighborhood, Biscuit. Biscuit brings up some mystery job that pays big and could fix all their money problem. Henry's a bit shaky on it and says he wants to get used to being on the outside again before jumping back into the life. 3 weeks down the road, the focus moves over to these two detectives, Brett Ridgeman and Anthony Lurisetti. Ridgeman's an old-timer who's been stuck at the same rank for more than 30 years. During a drug bust on a dealer named Vasquez, Ridgeman gets way too rough with the guy. He mashes his foot right into the suspect's face while he's pinned against a fire escape. Lurisetti stands there watching as Ridgeman starts mocking the guy's girlfriend, Rosalinda, who can't even hear what they're saying. The cops find a duffel bag packed with drugs and cash inside the spot. Even though the bust went well, some neighbor caught Ridgeman's rough stuff on a phone. The video gets leaked to the news, and everyone starts going nuts over the police brutality. Their boss, Chief Lieutenant Calvert, hauls him into his office to talk about the mess. Calvert and Ridgeman used to be partners, but Calvert says the politics of it make the whole thing a nightmare. Calvert suspends both Ridgeman and Lurisetti for 6 weeks and they ain't getting paid a dime. Even though Lurisetti wasn't the one throwing hands, he's getting whacked for not stopping it. Ridgeman takes the hit with a cold, professional look, but the money situation is looking ugly. His wife, Melanie, used to be a cop but she's got MS now and can't work. Their daughter, Sarah, is always getting messed with by the punks in their crummy neighborhood. Melanie begs Ridgeman to move the family somewhere safe after Sarah gets targeted for the 5th time. Ridgeman knows his lousy pension and this suspension mean they're never getting out of there. Meanwhile, Lurisetti is looking to pop the question to his girl, Denise. He bought a heavy engagement ring but now he's sweating over whether he can even take care of a family without his paycheck. Looking for a way out, Ridgeman hits up Friedrich, a rich guy with some shady connections. Ridgeman did a solid for Friedrich's kid back in the day and now he's looking for a lead on a big score. Friedrich gives him the scoop on a mysterious character named Lawrence Vogelman. Ridgeman decides he's gonna use his cop skills to tail Vogelman and rip off his criminal take. He calls Lurisetti and tells him to get in on the job, saying they're just looking for the compensation they're owed for all those years on the force. Lurisetti is on the fence about jumping into the job, but Ridgeman lays it out plain. After 30 years on the force, he feels the system left his family rotting in a neighborhood where his daughter keeps getting harassed. Ridgeman hands over a mugshot of Lawrence Vogelman, marking him as the big fish they're gonna tail. While they're setting up the stakeout, this masked psycho hits a corner store. He makes the clerk empty the till, pops a bystander in the foot for no reason, and then guns down the clerk before blasting holes in the walls on his way out. Meanwhile, Henry Johns and his buddy Biscuit are talking shop about the gig they just landed. Biscuit shows Henry a glove box packed with heaters just in case things get hairy. They eventually link up with Vogelman, who shows off a custom, bulletproof van with airless tires made for a heavy heist. Henry and Biscuit are the wheelman and the lookouts, but they're kept in the dark about how messy this is gonna get. Ridgeman and Lurisetti start their stakeout at an apartment building where they think Vogelman is holed up. They spot a car pulling in and see Henry and Biscuit, figuring these guys are tied to Vogelman. Their hunch pays off later that night when they see Vogelman hop into the car with them. The detectives tail the car to a construction site and stay on him until the sun comes up. The next morning, a van rolls out of the lot, but the guys inside are wearing high-end silicone masks to hide their mugs. Lurisetti recognizes the guys from before and figures they're wearing the disguises because they're planning on being seen during a major hit. As the van heads for the target, Ridgeman and Lurisetti stay on their tail, though they almost lose him at some red lights. The van pulls up to a bank where this lady Kelly Summer is just clocking in for her first day back from maternity leave. The manager sees the van outside just before these masked goons storm the place. One of the robbers disarms the guard while 3 others hit the lobby, using a tape recorder to bark orders at the hostages. They tell the manager to open the vault and start loading up the gold bullion. Inside the bank, the robbers make Kelly zip tie the other workers while they threaten to do something nasty to the manager. One guy tries to send an email to call for help, and Kelly tries to shut him down so the gunmen don't lose their cool. Her move gets noticed, and one of the masked psychos mutilates her before she's finally put down for good. Outside, Ridgeman and Lurisetti see the van and know the robbery is going down. Even though they see the blood on the walls, Ridgeman tells Lurisetti to keep his cool and not call it in. He argues the cops won't make it in time anyway and says they should wait for the robbers to leave so they can jump them and take the gold for themselves. Lurisetti is feeling sick over the whole thing, especially after they see the grisly scene the robbers left behind as they speed off. The robbers make a clean break from the bank with a haul of gold bullion, leaving behind a real bloodbath. Inside the getaway van, Biscuit starts losing his cool and lets the crew know he's sickened by all the unnecessary killing they just did. Vogelman doesn't take too kindly to having his style questioned and tells both Henry and Biscuit to cough up their pieces and toss them in the center console. Henry does what he's told, but he's keeping his eyes peeled and notices Ridgeman and Lurisetti are still tailing him from a distance. Henry decides to keep his trap shut and doesn't tell the robbers they got company, figuring he and Biscuit are probably just loose ends to these psychos anyway. Meanwhile, Lurisetti is eating himself alive with guilt for not jumping in when the bank was getting hit, knowing people died while he and Ridgeman just sat there. He starts chewing Ridgeman out, but Ridgeman says calling it in now is a waste of time and that they're the only ones who can walk away with that gold. Thinking he might be punching his clock today, Lurisetti tries to get a hold of his girl, Denise, but it goes straight to the machine. He leaves a message telling her he left a little something in his jacket pocket back at the house, talking about that rock he was too spooked to give her. He tells her they're both straight shooters and don't need some big fancy scene, just hoping she finds the ring if things go south. As the van rolls up to some remote spot out in the sticks, Henry gets ready for the double cross by grabbing a backup heater he had stashed in the seat. The van pulls into this industrial garage where the crew is planning to move the gold. Henry hops out to open the door, giving Biscuit the high sign that it's time to make a move. A hell of a shootout kicks off at the garage when Henry and Biscuit turn the tables on the masked goons. Biscuit gets chewed up by lead in his legs and chest, but Henry manages to drop one of the hitters. Realizing they're in a real jam, Biscuit swallows the key to the armored van so the robbers can't just hop in and floor it. Ridgeman and Lurisetti roll up on the scene a minute later, strapped into their own vests and masks, ready for the final dance. They watch the mess from a safe distance, seeing that the robbers are pinned down and hurting. Vogelman and his last few guys grab this lady hostage named Cheryl and start forcing her to drag Biscuit's body back toward the van. Inside that busted up van, things are looking real ugly for the remaining crew. Vogelman and his boys are forced to do a real stomach-turning job on Biscuit's body just to get that key swallowed. Outside, Ridgeman and Lurisetti aren't budging, but Lurisetti points out that the van's special tires mean he can't just shoot out the wheels with his rifle. Ridgeman finally loses his patience and rams the van with their car, flipping the whole thing over. After the crash, Ridgeman starts shouting at the goons, making it clear he doesn't give a damn about the hostage and just wants the gold. He gives them a 45-second clock to give it up. While they're standing there, Lurisetti checks his phone and sees he's got a new message from his girl, Denise. Inside the van, Vogelman starts messing with the hostage, Cheryl, forcing her to play along with a trap. After some noise and a few pops from inside the van, Cheryl crawls out and starts making her way toward the two partners like she's hurt bad. Lurisetti, being a softie for a second, tries to help her as she gets close to the car, but the second he lets his guard down, Cheryl pulls a piece and blasts Lurisetti right in the face and chest. Ridgeman doesn't hesitate. He drops Cheryl on the spot and then starts opening up on a masked guy trying to bail out of the van. Ridgeman runs over to Lurisetti and rips off his partner's mask to see how bad it is. Lurisetti is fading fast and can barely catch his breath. In his last few seconds, Lurisetti listens to that voicemail from Denise, where she basically tells him she ain't gonna marry him. Lurisetti kicks the bucket right after hearing the bad news. Now he's all alone, so Ridgeman hauls Lurisetti's body into the back of the car and hits the van one more time. He tosses tear gas inside to smoke him out. One of the masked hitters tries to surrender, but Ridgeman just puts him down as he's stepping out. Before Ridgeman can light the van up to finish the leader, a shot rings out from the shadows. Henry Johns shows up, holding his phone and showing that he caught the whole mess on video. He tells Ridgeman to back off the gold. While they're jawing at each other, Vogelman tries to pop Ridgeman through a crack in the van, but Ridgeman is too quick and finishes the lead robber off. Henry then steps up to Ridgeman, calling him out as the cop from the news and using that video as his leverage. Henry lets him know he's got the whole thing on his phone, including the part where Ridgeman smoked the hostage. He calls Ridgeman out as the detective from the news, having made him from the jump. After a little scrap, Ridgeman realizes he's boxed in and offers a truce to stop the bleeding. He suggests they clean up the mess together, bury their partners, and split the gold bullion 60-40 in Henry's favor. Henry isn't exactly thrilled about trusting a dirty cop, but Ridgeman starts spilling about his family's money troubles and how he's just trying to get them out of a bad spot. Henry eventually signs on for the deal. The two of them start hauling the heavy gold into Ridgeman's ride and moving the bodies so they stay hidden. They work together to tow Lurisetti's wrecked car out to a dump site. Once they get there, they plan to sink the car in a lake to get rid of the evidence. While they're finishing up, Henry finds another heater hidden in the car. They're almost done when Ridgeman suddenly pulls his piece on Henry. Ridgeman tells Henry to hand over the phone and wipe the video. He says the footage is a loose end that could lead to extortion and the deal ain't fair unless the video is gone. Henry tells him his word is his bond and that the video is just his insurance policy to make sure he doesn't end up in a hole. The tension gets thick as both guys refuse to budge. Henry is fed up that Ridgeman won't take him at his word. In a split-second move, Henry pulls his own gun and fires first. The shot hits Ridgeman, and it's a wrap for the detective. Henry lets the dying cop have it, calling him out for not having any trust, but he promises Ridgeman that his family is going to be taken care of no matter what. Henry then finishes the job, burying all the bodies, including Lurisetti and Ridgeman. He also makes a mental note to come back later and give his buddy Biscuit a real send-off. 11 months down the line, Henry is living it up in a massive mansion by the water. His mother and his brother, Ethan, are finally living the good life in a safe spot. Back in Bulwark, Ridgeman's wife, Melanie, and his daughter, Sarah, get a package in the mail. Inside the cigar box, they find a stack of gold bullion sent over by Henry. The story ends with Henry sitting down to play that same lion hunting game with Ethan. Just like they did before everything went sideways. He tells his brother that all his mean business is finally finished. As the game starts up, Henry looks at the screen and says it's time to hunt some lions.